All right, we are at the Days of Noah part 3. So we covered a lot. We talked about the emergence of a potential new race, which would be man and machine, and other things that we discussed, and the changes in the weather and those types of things. So now we are going to actually cover more of this, but before we do that, we're going to pray. Abiyah, we thank you for this day. We thank you for anointing us to hear your word. Give us eyes to see and ears to hear. Thank you for the word that you've put in my mouth. Thank you for all the things that you're doing in my life. Thank you for how you're blessing us as your people. Help us to be restored back to you. Help us to be all that you have called us to be. I ask that you would bless anyone that is listening to this message, whatever they are in need of. Abba, please give them the clear instructions and the guidance as to what it is that they are doing, what they should be doing, where they should go. Whatever the plan is that you have specifically for them, please make it be known unto them. Help them not to stray away from it or turn away from it or reject it. If you're answering their prayers right now, I ask that you would make it clear that that's what they're doing, so that they will not fear and know that you are with them, even if it's something new or something that seems complicated on the front end. Please give them the knowledge, understanding, and wisdom to be able to conquer whatever it is that they need to do. Please bless those that are starving and bless those that are in need of anything, anybody that is suffering right now. I ask that you would supply any needs, anything that is causing any type of fear or frustration or any fretting or any worry. Give them peace. Whatever it is that they need to learn from lessons that you are trying to teach them, let it be known. Thank you for all these things. Thank you for your word and your wisdom, the power and your grace. Thank you for all that you're doing for us and the protection that you provide for us, and how you are righteous, holy, and you never change. All of these things I ask by the authority of your Son. Hallelujah, so it shall be. All right, we're going to talk about the days of Noah, part 3. Okay, so we've already kind of discussed a number of times now the last days on the left side of the column. We're going to focus today on the fire, which previously it was the flood, but now it's the fire. We're going to focus on the fire, the terraformation of the earth, the new covenant, peace and rest, and the elect one. We're going to run back here to Antiquities of the Jews, Book 1, Chapter 2, Paragraph 3. And this part says, Now Seth, when he was brought up and came to those years in which he could discern what was good, became a virtuous man. And as he was himself of an excellent character, so did he leave children behind him who imitated his virtues. All these proved to be of good dispositions. And then we're going to skip down. Upon Adam's prediction that the world was to be destroyed at one time by the force of fire, and at another time by the violence of a quantity of water, they made two pillars, one of brick, the other of stone. They inscribed their discoveries on them both, in case the pillar of brick should be destroyed by the flood, the pillar of stone might remain, and the exhibit of those discoveries to mankind, and also inform them that there was another pillar of brick erected by them. Now this remains in the land. Okay, so they knew that pretty much there was either going to be a major fire or a major flood. Adam said that the earth is going to be destroyed by fire or flood. They didn't know which one was coming first. So they made two pillars in order to be able to recall that whatever information they wanted to tell to future generations, they inscribed it there so that that information could survive. Okay? But we've already had the judgment by the flood, so the fire is the alternative. So we're going to discuss the fire. So we're going to go to 2 Peter 3. We're going to read verses 5 through 7. We're going to jump down to verse 10, and then we're going to read verses 12 through 13. For this they willingly are ignorant of, that by the word of Yah the heavens were of old, and the earth standing out of the water and in the water, whereby the world that then was, being overflowed with water, perished. But the heavens and the earth, which are now by the same word, are kept in store, reserved unto fire against the day of judgment and perdition of unrighteous men. And but the day of the word of Yah will come as a thief in the night, in which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. The earth also and the works that are therein shall be burned up. Looking for and hasting unto the coming of the day of the Most High, wherein the heavens being on fire shall be dissolved, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. Nevertheless, we, according to his promise, look for new heavens and a new earth wherein dwelleth righteousness. Okay, so right here, so in Second Peter, it's saying that the word of the Most High made the earth and the heavens of old, which we know we've already discussed that when we were discussing creation, right? So that everything was made by his word and his wisdom. So he's saying that the earth was standing in water, inside of water. And we were talking about the waters above and below the firmament, and then when the earth was flooded and then it overflowed with water, perished, right? So that's talking about the flood. It says, but the heavens and the earth which are now, so the heavens and the earth that we dwell in currently, the same word, right, that made it back then, that helped, Noah through the storm and everything like that, has reserved unto fire against the day of judgment. That's going to happen next time. So last time it was a flood, but next time it's going to be, last time it's a flood, next time it's going to be a fire. Meaning that all of the time since the flood up until now, man has had a space to repent so that the fire would not be the judgment, okay, of the earth. So it goes from there, and then it says, but the day of the word of the Most High will come as a thief in the night, in which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise. And the elements, now it used to say in one passage that when Messiah came back, he would crack the sky, but it doesn't say that anymore, but that's a story for a different day. The heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat, and the earth also and the works that are therein shall be burnt up. So remember previously, we were talking about how everything was destroyed by the flood, right? So now everything is destroyed by fire, the heavens and the earth, because all of them have been contaminated with sin. Remember, the fallen contaminated the heavens. Then they came down here and contaminated man, and the earth is contaminated. So all of it gets burnt up. And if you know the passage where Messiah says, any tree that doesn't put forth good fruit is hewn down, meaning chopped down and thrown into the fire. And that's why it's always talking about going into the fire, for it's a purification process to come out gold. If you're gold, the fire won't burn you up. It's the same thing like when we were discussing the accusers, how the seraphim, they take all of the sins of man that the accusers bring and they throw it in the fire, and whatever survives the fire, that's what they bring before the Most High. But if it gets burnt up, they don't bring that before his face. So the fire is a purification process, but it is also a retribution for sin. Okay? And then going at the bottom, it says, wherein the heavens being on fire shall be dissolved, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. Nevertheless, we, according to his promise, look for a new heaven and a new earth, because the first one got burnt up. Okay? Not yet, but I'm saying that's what will happen. Okay? Where we keep going. So now, because the earth and the heavens were burnt up, now we have a terraformation, we have a new heaven and a new earth. And I believe that when this fire situation happens, that's kind of where the lake of fire situation comes in at. It's because we know that the earth is mainly made of water, and a lot of people, if you've ever seen people who have visions of out-of-body experiences and things, they'll say how the earth looks like a bowl of water. It's water that's on fire, okay? All right, don't let that be you. All right, the terraformation of the earth. Isaiah 65, verse 17. For behold, I create new heavens and a new earth, and the former shall not be remembered, nor come into mind. Isaiah 66:22. For as the new heavens and the new earth which I will make shall remain before me, saith the Most High, so shall your seed and your name remain. And we'll come back to that. 2 Peter 3:13, which we just read. Nevertheless, according to his promise, look for new heavens and a new earth, wherein dwelleth righteousness. And then Revelation 21, what's the verse? Give me 1 second. Verse 1. Revelation 21:1. And I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. So remember, previously we were reading about the terraformation of the earth, how the earth goes through a change. This time, the old earth and the old heaven are completely destroyed, and then the Most High says they're not even going to be remembered that they even existed. Okay? It's going to be like it never happened. So then right here in Isaiah 66:22, at the very end of it, it says, this new heaven and this new earth is going to remain before him. He's not going to have to destroy it later on because all shall be righteous. We see that from 2 Peter 3:13, how, therein dwelleth righteousness. But back to Isaiah 66:22, and it says, so shall your seed and your name remain, talking about the seed of Jacob, the seed of Abraham, the seed of Isaac. Their seed still remains. Okay, even in this new heaven and this new earth. Okay, we're going to keep going. Now we're going to look at the renewed covenant. So remember, we discussed having the fire, right, which was the judgment, and then the terraformation of the earth, and then there's a new covenant on the back end of that. So we can call it the new, some versions say new covenant, and then some versions say renewed covenant. But we're going to read this passage right here from Jeremiah. In the Septuagint, it's chapter 38, but in the KJV, it's chapter 31. But it's still the same verses. It's still 31 through 36. Behold, the days come, saith the Most High Eloi, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah, not according to the covenant which I made with their fathers in the day when I took hold of their hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt. For they abode not in my covenant, and I disregarded them, saith the Most High. This was my covenant which I will make with the house of Israel. After those days, saith the Most High, I will surely put my laws into their minds and write them on their hearts, and I will be to them an LOI, and they shall be to me a people, and they shall not at all teach everyone his fellow citizen and everyone his brother, saying, know the Most High, for all shall know me, for from the least to the greatest of them, for I will be merciful to their iniquities, and their sins I will remember no more. Thus saith the Most High, who gives the sun for a light by day, and moon and stars for a light by night, and make a roaring in the sea, so that the waves thereof roar. The Most High Almighty is his name. If these ordinances cease from before me, saith the Most High, then shall the family of Israel cease to be a nation before me forever. Okay, so there's a couple things that we're going to point out. First of all, this is all future tense. He's saying, I will. Future. Has not happened. And people will tell you, see, all of the testaments, all of the stuff in the Old Testament was fulfilled. Absolutely it wasn't. Because the first thing that Messiah says when he comes on the scene is, think not, get it out your head, don't think about it, that I have come to destroy the law or the prophets, but to fulfill. Meaning, I'm showing you how to do it. I've said it now, I'm going to say it again many times. Most of what was written in the prophets has not been done. The Most High does not do anything partially or halfway. All of the prophecies that he has given his prophets, they happen to the letter. Bang, 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 bang. If they didn't happen, then he would not be trustworthy because he wouldn't be consistent with what he said that would happen, being the creator of the universe. But you see how it says, I will make a new covenant? And then it says specifically who the covenant is with. It says the house of Israel and the house of Judah. It does not say the church. It does not say Christians. It does not say believers. It does not say Mormons. It does not say Jehovah's Witnesses. It says the house of Israel and the house of Judah. And then it goes on to say, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers when I took them by the hand, talking about past tense, right? Not according to that covenant, because they didn't keep that covenant, right? So now I got to renew it. Not when I took them by the hand out of the land of Egypt, because they're the only nation that he did that with. For they abode not in my covenant. He said, I disregarded them, right? For this is my covenant. This is what the new covenant is. That he's making specifically what he says who? The house of Israel. For after those days, saith the Most High, I will surely put my laws into their mind and write them on their hearts. It doesn't say that the law's going away. It just says they will be imprinted on their hearts and their minds, meaning that it will be a part of their nature to do it. It will be molded into their consciousness to do it. Just like we know what is right and wrong for the most part. You just know it. It's like that with the law. No one would have to tell anybody. That's why he says no more will they say to their neighbor, do you know the Most High? Because you will know him. It will be in your heart and your mind to do it. It will be a part of your nature in order to be able to live according to righteousness. Okay? All right. And then when you go down, it says he gave, just like he gives the sun, the moon, and the stars for light, right? And we got the seas. He said, if these things go away, then I will reject these people. Then they won't be my people anymore. But as long as these things exist, then shall the family of Israel, it says, if those things stop existing, then shall the family of Israel no longer be a nation before me. They only get cast away if the sun, moon, stars, waves, all those things don't exist anymore. That's the only time they get cast away. Now, here's the thing. Is the sun still shining? Is the moon still shining? Are the stars still in the sky? So that means that he is still seeing them as his people. You can't come behind and put another people group in place of his people. You can't do that. Okay, let's keep going. All right, we're going to read the same passage, but we're going to read it in Hebrews 8, chapter 7 through 13. For if the first covenant had been faultless, there would have been no place for this second one. For he rebukes them and says, behold, the days come, says Master Yah, when I will complete with the family of the house of Israel and with the family of the house of Yehudah a renewed covenant, not like the first which I gave to their fathers in the day when I took them by the hand and brought them out of the land of Egypt. And because they continued not in my covenant, I also rejected them, says Master Yah. But this is the covenant which I will give to the family of the house of Israel. After those days, says Master Yah, I will put my Torah in their minds and inscribe it on their hearts, and I will be to them an LOI, and they will be to me a people. And one will not teach the son of the city, nor his brother, nor say, you shall know Master Yah, because they will all know me, from the youngest of them to the oldest, and I will forgive them their iniquity, and their sins will I remember no more. In that he said a renewed covenant, he made the first old. That which is old is decaying and near to disappearing. Okay, so here's the thing. So right here, you notice the book's called Hebrews because that's who Paul's talking to. Okay, so he says what Jeremiah says. He repeats it. The covenant was not at fault. Man was. Okay? I'm going to say this here and I'm going to say it again when we get to the Torah. People were like, well, he did away with the law because nobody can do it. No, the heathen couldn't do the law, but his people could, because he would not require you to do something that he didn't think you were capable of doing, nor require you to do something he didn't know you could do. That would be setting you up for failure, which means that would be a flaw in his character. Like I said previously, sometimes when you say one thing, you're saying something else and you don't realize what you're saying. If you're saying that no one could keep the Torah, even though Messiah came and said, I'm showing you how to do it. If no one could keep the Torah, that means he set these people up for failure and called them his people to boot. Okay? So right here, he's saying, because y'all couldn't do the first covenant right, I'm going to renew it, meaning I'm going to give it to you again, but I'm going to give it to you a little bit different, okay? But this time, we're going to walk it out the right way, right? And then, with this new covenant, I'm going to imprint it on you. That way, you're not messing it up. But you have to choose to come to me first, and then I will give that to you when the time comes. That's why it says at the very end, it says, in that he said a renewed covenant, renewing what the original one was. It's not brand new. It's new in the sense that they ain't never do it right before, but now they're gonna do it right. But now he's putting like a fail safe in them that they're not gonna mess it up. But the first was old, and that which is old is decaying and near to disappearing, meaning that as the days grow shorter, as we get closer to the end, the old covenant is decaying because he's going to renew it later. Because it still is in full effect. The old covenant, the law of Moses, is still in effect. That's why he's saying right here, the first is old, which is decaying, meaning that it's coming to an end. However, when it disappears, he's going to renew it and give it something new. Just like Messiah is the word of Yah. When he died, he resurrected, but he had a different body. That's what the covenant is. The covenant dies because it was beaten by man and then comes back again. Okay? But he's given it specifically to the house of Israel. I'm saying this not to exclude anybody, but it is what it is. I'm gonna read what it says. But it doesn't mean that the other nations can't be saved. I don't want that to be the misconception. But these covenants and practices are specifically for this family. They're not for everybody. They're for the family that it was given to. We've already read the covenant precursors of Abram. And what he says, if I tell you to do what I tell you to do, I'm gonna rock it out with you. If you don't, if you like forget me, I'm like forget you. Okay? But you see, even here in Hebrews, now this is post Messiah died, resurrected, and ascension. Paul is still speaking in future tense. He's still saying what Jeremiah said, and he said, I will, they will, we will. All those that type of language. You notice it doesn't say, even if you read that whole chapter, and even the chapter, it doesn't say, behold, today is the day. He has done it. We have seen the manifestation of his word come to pass in this moment. No, because it hasn't happened yet. He still has a covenant with these people, or else he would not have made a covenant with them. Okay? So he's going to renew it. The first one is waxing old, and he's going to inscribe it on their hearts, minds, and they're going to know it permanently. Sorry, I think I made this point, but I'm going to make it again because it's a lot of information. Just like he says right here, I will be to them an LOI and they will be to me a people. It's the same thing. It's just what he said to Abram, where he says that, listen, I'm going to be the LOI to you, your son, your son's sons, and forever generations. This is an eternal thing that we got going on here. And then right here in this version of it, it has a footnote at the bottom, but this is what my spirit told me. So right here, he says, and no one will teach his son of the city. When it said the son of the city, it was like your neighbor, like someone from your hometown. That's where the term homeboy comes from. Like when you like, oh, that's my homeboy. That's from my hometown. He's from my hometown. That's my homie. Okay? And I don't care if it is what it is. The same language that these people used in scripture is the same language they use today. The same colloquialisms and phrasing is the same thing they use today. They're just speaking a different language, but the dialect and the phrasing and the terms are still the same. I will show you that as we go through scripture, I promise you. But it's the same way that they speak today is the same way they spoke then. Okay? I'm going to keep going. Okay, so we're still in the renewed covenant, right? A new or renewed covenant. So we're going to jump over to Hebrews chapter 12 and we're going to go verses 22 through 29. But you have come to Mount Zion and to the city of the living Eloi, and the Jerusalem that is in the heaven, and to the assemblies of the myriad of messengers, and to the assembly of the firstborn who are enrolled in heaven, and to Eloi, the judge of all, and to the spirits of the just who are perfected, and Messiah, the mediator of the renewed covenant, and to the sprinkling of his blood, which speaketh better than that of Abel. Beware therefore, or else you refuse to hear him who speaks with you. For if they did not escape who refused to hear him who speak with them on earth, how much more will we not if we refuse to hear him who speaks with us from heaven, whose voice then shook the earth, but now he has promised and said yet once more, I will not shake the earth only, but also, heaven. And these words much more indicated the transformation of the things that are shaken because they are fabricated, that the things which will not be shaken may remain. Since therefore we have received a kingdom that is unshaken, let us grasp the grace from which we may serve and please Eloi with reverence and fear, for our Eloi is a consuming fire. So at the very top, right, he says that you came to Mount Zion. It's the city of the living Eloi, right? And then it says the Jerusalem that is in heaven, the new Jerusalem that's going to come down, right? Because we got new heaven, new earth. We also got a new Jerusalem. And then it says the assemblies and myriads of messengers, which are angels, and the assembly of the firstborn who are enrolled in heaven, in Eloi, the judge of all. So the firstborn are his elect one, when he brings the children of Israel out of Egypt, he calls him Jacob, his firstborn, but it's also counting all of the righteous, right? Those who are the firstborn born in righteousness. Any of the righteous patriarchs and matriarchs, okay? And to those spirits of the just, right there, who are perfected, that's anybody that's righteous, no matter your nationality. And to, it says Messiah right here, and it calls him the mediator of the renewed covenant. It does not say that he's the giver of it, nor does it say that he's already brought it. He's the mediator, meaning that when this thing takes effect, it says into the sprinkling of the blood, which speaks better than that of Abel. When we get to the Torah, we'll talk about what the rituals of the priests are, but sprinkling the blood was part of the ritual. So it's saying, don't refuse to hear his voice when he's saying, like, hey, come unto me, thee are heavy and burdened and laden, and I'll give you rest. Hey, I'm here to, so that you may have life and life more abundantly. They're like, don't ignore him, because when he spoke to us, when the Father spoke to us from Mount Zion, and the earth shook, and the top of the fire was burned, and everybody was terrified, he said he's not speaking to us like that. But don't ignore him, because he's not speaking to you the way that he once spoke to you. You need to still listen, even though he's not speaking in the booming voice. He's speaking in that small, still, soft voice. Still listen to him, okay? But he says he's not going to shake the earth, but also the heavens. So everything's going to shake, and whatever is not on solid ground is going to pass away. And it says, because our LOI is a consuming fire, and we talked about the fire of the judgment, but his presence is fire as well. Okay, we're going to keep going. All right, peace and rest. All right, Hebrews 4, 1 through 11. Let us fear, therefore, or else, while there is a firm promise of entering into his rest, any among you should be found coming short of entering. For to us also is the announcement, as well as to them. But the word they heard did not benefit them, because it was not combined with faith of those who heard it. But we who have believed do enter into rest. But as he said, as I have sworn in my anger that they will not enter into my rest. For behold, the works of Eloi existed from the foundation of the world. As he said of the Shabbat, Eloi rested on the seventh day from all his works. And here again, he said, they will not enter into my rest. Therefore, because there was a place where where one and another might enter, those persons from the first to whom the good news was delivered did not enter, because they had no faith. Again, he established another day a long time afterwards, as above written, that David said, today, if you will hear my voice and do not harden your hearts. For of Joshua, the son of Nun, had given them rest, he would not have spoken afterwards of another day. For there remains a Shabbat for the people of Eloi. For he who had entered into his rest had also rested from his works, as Eloi did from his. Let us therefore strive to enter into that rest, or else we fall short after the way of those who did not believe. Okay, so right here he's talking about entering the New Jerusalem, okay, which is the place of rest. That's why he said, we need to hang on to the promise of entering into that place, because we know that eventually they become exiled, and they want to be able to return, but they want to go to the New Jerusalem. I mean, they're still able to go to Jerusalem at this point, but it's talking about going to the place that they're not able to enter at this time, which would pretty much kind of like be like the Garden of Eden, be like New Jerusalem. But it's talking about how when eventually, like, they had the announcement of the promise, like, you can go in and you can take the land, but the men who had that announcement, they didn't believe it. So when we get to that part of the scriptures, when it's time for them to go into the land, only 2 people out of 12 decide to go in and have the faith to go in, even though the promise was made to everybody, that everybody could benefit and enter into the rest. There were only few that decided that they wanted to enter in, because fear and faithlessness decided to reign in their hearts, and they let it. and they didn't want to go into the rest. So Paul is pretty much saying here, he said, well, if it's just talking about that time, why would David say, you know, why would he make a reference to entering into the land when at that time David was in the land? So it's talking about the new Jerusalem, a new place of going, a new place of rest. And he's like, don't, Paul pretty much is like, don't fall short. We need to all try to strive to get there. We need to have faith in order that we're going to make it. And even if it looks like we're not going to make it, we need to believe that his promise is true and that we're going to strive to go to the place of rest, which is the New Jerusalem, which is probably the Garden of Eden as well. Okay, we're going to keep going.